Hello, dear viewer. My name is Vasi Urvanova, and today I will tell you about Cabaret. Many of you know Cabaret is the biggest showcase of performance and visual art on Quest campus. Many of you have attended or participated in the event. But do you know its history? If you answered no, no worries. Neither did I until I decided to look into the history of Cabaret as a part of my Keystone research. What you're about to see is the summary of my findings. Cabaret, or as it was called at the time, Cabaret Revolution, was the brainchild of a student named Roberto Guimarães. Roberto joined Quest campus as a mature student in 2010, but only stayed in that role for 1 year. However, during that short year, Roberto managed to leave a long legacy, which touched many generations of Questies after him. The creation of Cabaret reflected Roberto's personal and academic interests at the time. He admits to have been fascinated by data art and the history of the 1916 club named Cabaret Voltaire. That was where the name Cabaret came from. The event was to be called Cabaret Revolution. When asked about the second half of the name, Roberto, who is Brazilian-American by origin, confessed that it was inspired by the current events back in 2011. The idea for this event was to invite the students of Quest to develop original pieces of art, whether performance or visual, around a central theme of oppression. Once the idea was sparked, Roberto sent an email to the student body seeking performers and later visual artists. And so the creative process began. A handful of students started to meet regularly for weekly rehearsals. The location Roberto picked was the loading dock under the atrium. The gray walls of the loading dock were transformed into visual art installations lit up by construction lights Roberto purchased with a budget allocated to him by SRC. In general, from recollections of people who were there, the process of putting together the event included a lot of thriftiness. For example, the students took the circular tables from the breakout rooms of academic building, and they were used to seat the audience. It was Roberto's intentional choice to create an ambience of the 19th century European cabaret. The event was a success. With around 200 in attendance, Cabaret's audience brought in the majority of Quest community, including students, staff, and faculty. The first Cabaret was so impactful that the event, which was envisioned by Roberto to be a one-off, was brought back the following year. But this time the event was transformed. The theme was changed from oppression to rhythm, but not much else has changed about Cabaret. It was still a collection of student-designed art pieces united by a theme. That being said, there was now more visual art, and one person was instrumental in that shift. Tyra Gutierrez. Tyra became Cabaret's first visual art coordinator in 2013. From then on, visual art became a more prominent part of this event. Next shift for Cabaret happened in 2015, when the ever-growing audience increased to about 350. It could no longer be accommodated by the table-styled seating, and the arrangement was changed to theater style. This marked Cabaret's shift from an intimate performance to a more of a refined show. In 2016, Cabaret went through a rough patch. There were lots of people interested in performing, but nobody was willing to organize. That was when Rindy Spencer stepped in. Rindy was a Cabaret performer since 2012, but once 2016 came, she found herself in a new role, an organizer. Rindy decided to step away from the usual collective organization and created her own structure by finding people to lead various organizational teams. One of those people was Morgan Baskin, who ended up being the stage manager for that year. An added challenge of the 2016 production was that the organizers found out that the underground parking garage was only ever coded for about 20 people, so the event could no longer be held there. Therefore, the decision was made to move Cabaret to the recreational complex, otherwise known as Recplex, the school gym. It was a controversial move considering the history of Cabaret and the fact that the gym did not have great acoustics. However, in the true Quest spirit, the organizers made it work and put together a wonderful event. The previously mentioned stage manager Morgan Baskin would remain on the Cabaret team for 3 more years, taking the role of technical director. In those years, Cabaret would undertake a lot of transition. Cabaret's original show drew in about 200 people, and the most recent show grew to 600. Therefore, Cabaret now needed more people to be on the organizing team. Back in the day, it was a tradition for two people to step forward and take on the rehearsals and organization. But now there were allocated director roles such as technical director, performance director, and visual art director, just to name a few. Moreover, sometimes there were multiple people holding the same title. But some things remained the same. The organizers were very strict with only accepting original student art. No one was allowed to perform or submit an art piece that was not of their own creation. Cabaret also kept the tradition of picking a theme every year and asking students to create pieces united by that theme. Lastly, Cabaret remained open strictly for Quest community, which included students, staff, faculty, family, and friends. However, somewhere along the way, Cabaret became a permanent star in the admit event weekend. So every year, a chunk of seats was bought out by the Quest admissions to let the prospective students in on the Quest art scene. Cabaret's 10th anniversary was a year like no other. It took organizers a while to get things together, but by the time February rolled around, plans were on the way. The call out for the artists was put out, and performers started gathering for weekly rehearsals. Due to recent changes in the gym's insurance policy, the location had to be changed yet again, and the organizing team decided on the lawn between cafeteria and the academic building. On March 11th, Cabaret was fully funded by the Quest University Student Association, only to receive an email notifying the student body of a recent update related to COVID-19. Campus was now closed to the public, and all events were cancelled. In the process of my research, I contacted the members of the Cabaret 2020 organizing team who are now graduating this spring and asked them whether they were planning on being a part of the organizing team next year. Their response was reassuring. All three expressed their desire to make Cabaret happen in 2021. Moreover, the future organizing team has shared their idea for Cabaret 2021 theme. Rise. Thank you.